Nightline begins now with me, Zahir, Kelvin on Abdullah. News making the headlines. Tel Aviv regime and Hamas release Palestinian prisoners and Israeli hostages in first phase of Gaza peace plan. And to curb bullying and sexual misconduct in schools, PM calls for stronger focus on moral and ethical values in education system. Good morning. Nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners were released from Israeli detention on Monday under the first phase of a Gaza ceasefire agreement. Thousands of Palestinians gathered to welcome the freed prisoners at the Nasser Medical Center, with hundreds assembled in the hospital courtyards. Buses carrying freed prisoners from Offa prison west of Ramallah arrived in the town of Beitunia in the occupied West Bank. Palestinian news agency Wafa confirmed that 96 prisoners serving high jail terms arrived in the town aboard 2 buses of the International Committee of the Red Cross. The prisoners' media office said 154 freed prisoners had been deported to Egypt under the ceasefire deal. It added that buses carrying more than 1,700 prisoners released from the Negev prison in southern Israel also arrived in the Gaza Strip. Israel's prison service confirmed that 1,968 Palestinian prisoners had been released under the ceasefire deal. The releases follow Hamas's handover of 20 Israeli hostages under the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump arrived in Egypt on Monday for a global summit on Gaza's future as he tries to advance peace in the Middle East after visiting Israel. More than 24 countries are expected to be represented at the summit, which Trump is hosting along with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. Israel and Hamas have no direct contacts and are not expected to attend the event. El-Sisi's office said the summit aims to end the war in Gaza and usher in a new page of peace and regional stability in line with Trump's vision. With the gathering expected to last only about 2 hours, it is unlikely that the remaining issues will be addressed in depth. El-Sisi and Trump are expected to issue a joint statement after it ends. Before heading to Egypt, Trump hailed the end to a painful nightmare following 2 years of war in Gaza during an address to Israel's parliament.
This land, it has been years since you've known a single day of true peace. But now at last, not only for Israelis, but also for Palestinians and for many others, the long and painful nightmare is finally over.
Palestinian journalist Saleh Aljafarawi was killed on Sunday during clashes in Gaza City, just days after Israel and Hamas reached a ceasefire deal in the Gaza Strip. Local sources reported that the 28-year-old, who had gained prominence for his videos covering the war, was shot and killed by members of an armed militia while covering clashes in the city's Sabra neighborhood. A Gaza security source confirmed that the clashes had also left several people dead and wounded. The group had allegedly killed displaced Palestinians returning to Gaza City. Despite the ceasefire, local authorities have repeatedly warned that the security situation in Gaza remains challenging. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim will reach out to Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in the coming days to discuss ways to facilitate the delivery of Malaysian humanitarian aid to Gaza through the Rafah crossing. The move aims to ensure the smooth coordination and safe passage of the Malaysian team participating in the Sumut Nusantara mission, which is being carried out in collaboration with regional partners. Anwar said the proposal to deliver aid via land routes takes into account the latest developments following the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. He noted that the ceasefire has offered some relief to the international community as it has temporarily halted the violence and suffering endured by the people of Gaza.
But I've told our friends in Sumut Nusantara, Pertila, to say now you don't need to go by sea, go by land. I hope to communicate to President Abdul Fattah Sisi in the next few days to suggest to him that, allow our contingent to go via Egypt to Rafah and continue to assist.
The Prime Minister also highlighted that the flotilla movement was not his personal initiative, but rather a collective effort driven by international and Malaysian activists out of compassion and solidarity with the Palestinian people. He added that the government would extend its full support and assistance as a mark of recognition for the volunteers' commitment to defending universal values of justice, freedom and human dignity. Meanwhile, Humanitarian Care Malaysia, MyCare, has welcomed the Prime Minister's call for all Malaysian NGOs to unite in delivering humanitarian aid to Gaza. Its CEO, Kamarul Zaman Shaharul Anwar, said 5 MyCare trucks that were previously stranded at the Rafah border have finally entered Gaza following the ceasefire.
We have got to seriously look into sumbangan Malaysia as a whole. NGO Malaysia mungkin di bawah operation yang memang telah dibina dulu, kita boleh menggerakkan sekali macam apa yang telah kita buat masa awal-awal dulu. And so itu jalan yang paling mudah untuk sampai ke Gaza melalui pintu Rafah.
Moving on. The national education system must place stronger emphasis on moral and ethical values and not focus solely on academic knowledge. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the responsibility of nurturing good values does not rest solely on teachers, but must also be shared by parents and the wider community. Speaking at the monthly gathering of Prime Minister's department staff in Putrajaya on Monday, Anwar stressed that a values-based and moral-driven approach must be strengthened to cultivate the future generation with strong character and integrity. He added that the cultivation of these values should begin at home and continue through the school system, with both parents and educators playing vital roles.
Rogol lagi kat sekolah. Sampai tiap majlis saya di Tambun satu hari Sabtu, jumpa ada 2 program di sekolah, itu saya tekankan masalah buli. Pendidikan knowledge, not values, not moral and ethical principles. So ada flaw.
Anwar highlighted the matter in his address following several recent cases of bullying and sexual misconduct reported in schools. He pointed out that the issue was not confined to schools but reflected a broader failure to nurture moral understanding across society. In response to the Prime Minister's call for greater emphasis on moral and ethical values in the education system, Education Director General Muhammad Azam Ahmad said the new 2027 curriculum will prioritize character development from preschool through to secondary school.
Dengan kurikulum baru 2027 ini pada 2026 untuk pelajar standard prasekolah, untuk peringkat prasekolah. Daripada prasekolah sampailah sekolah menengah ini, kita berikan perhatian kepada pembinaan karakter. Pembinaan karakter itu makna dia kita nak membangunkan nilai-nilai manusiawi yang ada.
The Education Ministry will also issue comprehensive guidelines on school safety by the end of the year. The measures will include the installation of a closed-circuit television or CCTV cameras to enhance monitoring and security on school premises. In addition, school principals have been instructed to conduct daily walkabouts to assess the school environment and pay close attention to student safety. In a related development, Azam revealed that the 4 male students arrested by police over the sexual assault of a Form 3 girl at a school in Alo Gajah Melaka have been expelled. The 4 will not be allowed to sit for the SPM examination at their original school, but will do so at a different location.
Kalau misalkan ditempatkan di pusat tahanan, kita memang ada prosedur dalam buku pengurusan pengendalian perpesaan SPM di lembaga perpesaan. Kita akan uruskanlah mengikut prosedur yang ada. Kalau mereka
Azam said the victim in the case is still receiving treatment in hospital where she's undergoing psychosocial therapy to support her emotional and mental well-being. Meanwhile, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Law and Institutional Reform, Datuk Sri Azlina Othman Said, pointed out that an underage suspect is not exempted from facing accountability for sexual crimes. She said cases of rape or other sexual offences will be investigated under the Penal Code regardless of the offender's age.
Bawah 18 tahun, melaku jenayah dia boleh bebas. Ini orang jangan salah faham. Salah tetap salah, jahat tetap jahat. Hukuman tetap dikenakan. Tetapi mahkamah dia mungkin mahkamah berlainan.
Azlina also said that although the Education Ministry has its own procedures for handling cases of sexual misconduct, such cases still fall entirely under the jurisdiction of criminal law. In a separate development, about 6,000 students nationwide have been infected with influenza, prompting precautionary measures in schools to curb further spread. The Education Director General said several schools had been temporarily closed based on the advice of the respective district health officers. According to Azam, the cases were reported in different schools across several states and were not concentrated in a single area. They are being closely monitored by district health officers in collaboration with the Education Ministry.
Walaupun ada sekolah tu pelajar dia ada influenza, tapi dia tak perlu melalui proses penutupan. Cukup sekadar pelajar itu bercuti, cutilah. Maknanya dia cuti sakit. So yang lain itu sekolah masih berjalan dengan biasa. So penutupan sekolah hanya kita lihat dari aspek nasihat yang diberikan oleh pejabat kesihatan daerah.
The Malaysian Examinations Board has been instructed to make the necessary preparations in light of the influenza infections, especially ahead of the SPM examination, which begins on November 3rd. Students are also strongly encouraged to wear face masks and limit the number of large gatherings to prevent further spread. Now, Malaysia has been recognized as an ethical and stable hub for Islamic finance, the result of decades of innovation and leadership in the field. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the nation's success stems from its pioneering role in developing the global sukuk market, advancing the takaful sector, and integrating digital technology into zakat and wakaf management. He said during meetings with investors from the Middle East, ASEAN and Europe, there has been growing demand for a financial system that not only generates profit but also carries purpose and meaning. The Prime Minister noted that Malaysia is now a leading force in green and sustainability-linked sukuk issuance.
We develop a strong competitive takaful sector. We embrace fintech and digital platform for zakat and wakaf, linking tradition with modern technology. And it is again precisely for this reason that Malaysia is consistently recognized as a trusted global hub where investors can find stability, clarity and opportunity underpinned again by ethical foundations.
The Prime Minister was speaking at the launch of the Global Islamic Finance Forum 2025 in Kuala Lumpur. He added that good governance must remain the cornerstone of an Islamic financial system grounded in the objectives of Islamic law known as Maqasid Sharia. While competitiveness and profit are vital, Anwar said values, fairness and sound governance should never be compromised to ensure that Islamic finance plays a meaningful role in driving inclusive and sustainable development. Malaysia will make the Malaysian Islamic Overnight Rate, or MIORI, the mandatory reference rate for all Islamic financial products from July 2027. Bank Negara Malaysia Governor Datuk Sri Abdul Rashid Ghaffur said the move marks a major structural transformation in the country's Islamic financial system.
Bank Negara Malaysia plans to move forward with a new benchmark. Beginning 1st July 2027, the Malaysia Islamic Overnight Rate, or we call it the MIORI, will become the mandatory reference rate for Islamic financial products.
MYOI is the world's first transaction-based Islamic benchmark rate, replacing the existing Kuala Lumpur Islamic reference rate. The central bank expects the introduction of MYOI to spur innovation in Sharia-compliant financial products and further strengthen Malaysia's position as a leading global hub for Islamic finance. A total of 600 million ringgit has been allocated to revitalize Kuala Lumpur's heritage sites, including Karkosa Srinagar and 6 blocks within the Sultan Abdul Samad building complex. Khazanah Nasional Berhad Managing Director Dato' Amirul Faisal Wan Zahir said the investment is part of ongoing initiatives under the Warisan KL program. In a statement on Monday, Amirul Faisal said the heritage sites will be revitalized and their roles reimagined as a cultural and economic hub that connects Malaysia's past with its creative and forward-looking future. He added that Khazanah will continue working with the government and strategic partners to translate these priorities into long-term value for the nation. During the tabling of the 2026 budget, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the Warisan KL initiative has been expanded to include conservation works at the Kuala Lumpur railway station and the Daya Bumi complex. Malaysia is actively expanding its trade relations with non-traditional partners, including BRICS nations and other developing countries. The move is aligned with the government's objective to diversify export destinations and reduce dependence on traditional markets such as the United States. Deputy Investment, Trade and Industry Minister Liu Chin Tong said the effort includes expansion in high technology areas such as the semiconductor sector.
Kita mungkin perlu terima hakikat bahawa kebergantungan sasaran ataupun destinasi ekspor kita terhadap Amerika Syarikat mungkin satu hari nanti akan berakhir. Amerika Syarikat sekarang ni tidak ingin mengimport begitu banyak daripada negara kita dan negara-negara Asia.
Speaking in the Dewan Rakyat on Monday, Liu said the Prime Minister will visit Africa next month to explore new markets. He added that Malaysia is strengthening ties with Bangladesh and Pakistan to develop alternative export markets and is also planning to sign memoranda of cooperation with Brazil and India in the semiconductor sector. The ringgit is expected to continue strengthening against the US dollar over the next year. Second Finance Minister Datuk Sri Amir Hamzah Azizan said the local currency has the potential to appreciate to below 4 ringgit against the greenback. He added that the country's economy remains stable, supported by fiscal reform and growing investor confidence. He said the fiscal deficit has been reduced to 3.8% this year and is expected to further decline to 3.5% in 2026. Amir Hamzah noted that Malaysia recorded 190 billion ringgit in foreign direct investment in the first half of 2025, while the labour market remains strong. These factors are expected to continue supporting the ringgit's strength and attract more foreign investors. Company director fined for sending death threats. This and more after this breather.
selalu sentuh perasaan orang.
Filem Indonesia yang saya rasa udah nggak ada lagi yang lebih baik dari Sorry.
Pasal cinta, pasal takdir, inspirasi sangat-sangat best guys.
Sumpah worth to watch banget. Kalian harus nonton. Wajib banget nonton atau enggak kalian akan ketinggalan sesuatu yang very happening now. 10/10.
100 out of 10.
Aku Sore, istri kamu dari masa depan.
Welcome back. Police have crippled a syndicate distributing ganja buds in Selangor following a series of raids that led to the seizure of 173 kilograms of drugs worth nearly 6 million ringgit. The operation also resulted in the arrest of 7 suspects, including 2 women aged between 25 and 41. Bukit Aman Narcotics Crime Investigation Department Director Dato' Hussein Omar Khan said 4 separate raids were conducted between October 3rd and 5th at several locations across Subang Jaya, Petaling Jaya and Selayang. He added that the syndicate's modus operandi was to use rented houses near entertainment areas as storage facilities before distributing the drugs to local and overseas markets. Police also seized 2 vehicles during the operation. All 7 suspects tested positive for drugs, while 4 of them had previous criminal records, with one having 18 prior convictions, including for drug-related offences. The suspects have been remanded to assist investigations under the Dangerous Drugs Act. In Pulau Pinang, a company director was fined 10,000 ringgit by the Georgetown Magistrates Court after pleading guilty to sending a death threat to a female lawyer last month. The accused, Heng Hoa Kian, age 45, entered the plea after the charge was read to him before Magistrate Nadra Tun Naim Muhammad Saidi. According to the charge, Heng was accused of sending a message and threatening to kill the 36-year-old victim with the intention of causing fear at Leboh McCallum on September 29. The accused, however, later apologized to the victim, a lawyer who is representing his wife in their ongoing divorce case. The offence under the Penal Code carries a maximum jail term of 7 years, a fine, or both upon conviction. The court also ruled that Heng will serve 10 months in prison from Monday if he fails to pay the fine. Also at the same court, a housewife was fined 10,000 ringgit after pleading guilty to extortion by threatening to release a man's nude photos online last June. 33-year-old Noor Husna Noor Baharudin was charged with extorting a 28-year-old man by causing fear, leading him to transfer 3,750 ringgit to her on June 14. Investigations revealed the victim first met the accused through Facebook, where she sent him obscene videos and photos. 2 days later, she threatened to post a nude video of him online unless he paid her. Out of fear, he made 10 money transfers to her account before finally lodging a police report when she demanded more. The charge was framed under the Penal Code, which carries up to 10 years jail, fine or whipping if found guilty. Macron unveils new government. The details when Nightline returns.
Naga datang! Naga datang!
Selamat datang, Nam Jelaka.
Kampung kita ni tak ada pendekar, tak ada panglima. Tengok aku betul apa.
Nama siapa?
Pendekar telinga berbungkus.
Dan apabila bayi ni ditemui, dia ada stokin dalam mulut. Seumpama dia suffocated melalui stokin ke dalam mulut.
Bahawa di situlah dia tanam bayi bersama-sama dengan pakaian yang dibaluti oleh bayi di dalam tanah.
Pada satu hari, beliau mendapat panggilan dari tertuduh kedua perempuan dan beliau ke asrama atau tempat tinggal tertuduh kedua tersebut.
Syukur Yusuf pulang. Dia nak jumpa anak kesayangannya sebelum dia pergi.
Kenapa Bapa hantar Yusuf pergi? Apa salah Yusuf?
Welcome back. Indonesia has nearly doubled the key allowance for lawmakers a month after cutting some parliamentary benefits to ease public anger over recent violent protests. Deputy Speaker Sufmi Dasko Ahmad said the increase in the recess allowance for lawmakers took effect on October 3rd at the start of the latest parliamentary break. The allowance is meant to support their work in their constituencies while Parliament is not in session. Each lawmaker will now get $42,200 for each recess, up from $25,300 previously. In August, thousands of students, rights groups and civilians protested government spending and lawmakers' pay hikes, sparking riots after a motorcycle taxi driver was killed during a police operation. French President Emmanuel Macron unveiled a new government on Sunday after holding marathon talks with newly reappointed Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu ahead of a fast-approaching deadline to present next year's budget to Parliament. In Lecornu's new cabinet, Jean-Noël Barrot remains as Foreign Minister, while outgoing Labour Minister Catherine Vautrin takes on the defence portfolio. There were also new faces, including Paris Police Chief Laurent Nunez, who will take over the Interior Ministry, replacing Bruno Retailleau of the right-wing Republicans Party. Macron reinstated Lecornu on Friday, 4 days after the Premier's resignation and the collapse of his first government. Lecornu was tasked with forming a government to present the 2026 budget on Monday, giving Parliament 70 days to review it. On to sports now and motor racing. Malaysian teen prodigy Putra Adam Halim Muazzam continued his stunning form with back-to-back victories in the 2025 Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe at the Barcelona circuit in Spain on Saturday. The 19-year-old racing for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing alongside French teammate Paul Levet dominated both race 1 and 2 to strengthen his bid for the overall title. In race 1, Putra Adam started from third on the grid and displayed remarkable composure to claim a commanding win in his Huracan Evo 2. He repeated the feat in race 2, this time charging from 7th place, slicing through the field to reach third before handing over to Levet, who sealed another victory. The double win puts Putra Adam level at the top of the standings with 94 points, tied with Team Oregon's Enzo Geraci and Joseph Knopp. With just one round left in Misano, Italy on November 6 and 7, the Subang-born prodigy is now on the brink of becoming the first Malaysian to capture the overall title. Turning to hockey now and the 2025 Under-21 Sultan of Johor Cup. Malaysia bounced back from the 2-7 loss to Pakistan on Saturday to hold Australia to a 1-1 draw at Taman Daya Stadium on Sunday. Preparing for the Junior World Cup in India from November 28 to December 10th, Malaysia made a strong start, taking the lead through Azimuddin Kamaruddin's penalty corner strike in the 13th minute. Despite creating several chances, the young Tigers could not extend their advantage. Two-time champions Australia, who thrashed New Zealand 4-0 on Saturday, levelled the score in the 47th minute when Ian Grobbelaar converted their fourth penalty corner. The result places Malaysia 5th in the standings, and they will be looking to secure their first win when they take on New Zealand on Tuesday. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as China's flying car takes off and lands in Dubai, showcasing its advanced technology designed to make flying easy for everyone. With that, I'm Zahir, Kelvin, Abdullah. Thank you for watching.